So, unsurprisingly, I have one of the highest estimates for Tesla's earnings at 96 cents and one of the highest estimates for Tesla auto gross profits at 21%. I have great respect for Troy Teslaike's data, but I believe he is off by 2 to 3 percentage points on margins, which is, of course, driving his ultimate profit number, which I believe to be low. Without divulging his Patreon numbers, I will merely indicate here that I think there are gains to be made that he is not counting. This is Randy Kirk. If this content is valuable to you, hit the like button, hit subscribe and notify because, okay, coming up later today will be, I think, Herbert Ong, might be Brian Wang. I haven't decided which one will be first and which one will be tomorrow, but you have both of those guys coming up. Then you have Jeff Lutz tomorrow afternoon for sure. Or tomorrow evening for sure. Larry Goldberg after the call on Wednesday. How can you do better than that? Anyway, so hit notify. Patreon, thank you so much for all the folks that are hitting up Patreon now. I guess you guys wanted some original content, so I'm providing original content on Patreon. You can join right now with absolutely no expense, 7 days free. Look at the videos that I've already put up that are unique to Patreon and then decide whether you want to join or not for an entire $5 a month. All right, let me start by repeating what I've said many, many times about these estimates. Even if you are Elon Musk or Zach Krikorian, with all the data at your fingertips, there's still plenty of guesswork in projecting final numbers. How do I know this? Oh, I ran a manufacturing company for 29 years, and I've run bunches of something over 40 different companies, and I know that there's so many things that can be off. By the time that the bookkeepers get done with the numbers, you are never sure how it's going to end up. I had a situation one time where I was off by a 5% because my employees were selling way more scrap than I thought they were. I don't mean that they were selling it to their own account, but they were not putting the scrap back into the machines, and they were ending up selling tons of scrap, and I couldn't figure out where it was going. So these, yes, these companies, Tesla's way more sophisticated than I was, but trust me, they have all this data and they can still be surprised when the accounting department gets done. Having said that, again, I have a lot of respect for Troy Teslaike. I think he goes to a lot of trouble to get his numbers, but getting numbers out there that are like 5,322 or something, I mean, it's just, to me, it makes zero sense. So you'll notice that my numbers are going to be very broad. They're going to be, just round numbers because I think that's really all we can say as outsiders about the final data. All right, let's go on from here. Now, in trying to analyze this, okay, from an outside position, imagine you have 3 different major supply chains on 3 continents with 3 sets of labor costs and massively different costs associated with the fixed overhead. You have 2 factories ramping and 1 mature. All of those things add into the price or subtract from or affect the final cost of goods. So this is where I'm really taking, this is where I think that other analysts are missing it, okay? Not just Troy, but other analysts who are around his number at around 18% margins, and I'm at 21. So this is why I think there's problems. So we can take a look at the previous profit and loss statements. That's a place that I go, and then you can listen to comments from leadership. Then Troy, he goes really deep and he looks at a lot of public data and stuff that is out there and tries to scrape some of that to make his estimates a lot closer, a lot neater. But there's lots and lots of places for holes. So, for example, I'm just going to say, I'm not trying to make this into I'm better than somebody else, but this last quarter, just as an example, I was much closer to the shipment number than Troy was, and Brian was much closer than I was, Brian White. So, we do our best, we make our guesses. That's all we can do. All right. I'm going to assume that I'm up 3% compared to the street and to others who are around the same numbers as the street. So the street's around 18%. I'm at 21. So I got to make up 3%. Rough numbers. You have 20 billion in sales. So that would be about 3.6 billion in profits. if you're at 18%, but it'd be 4.2 billion in profits, so you're at 21%. So there's a $600 million difference that I need to make up. All right. See, these are round numbers. I didn't even put this on a spreadsheet because I don't think you'll need a spreadsheet for these round numbers. So I got 600 million bucks to make up. So my first up is the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. I always have so much trouble saying those words because it's so silly. Anyway, so that's where I start first. Zach said that this would be $150 million to $250 million per quarter. I will take the middle number of 200 million. I don't think anybody has that in their cost of goods. I don't think that anybody's listing that separately on their income statement. I believe it's going to end up in cost of goods because it's going to be like with Panasonic. Panasonic will just lower the cost of the battery based on the $7 they've agreed to. On cost of goods within the building, when Tesla's making their own batteries and they're getting $35 per kilowatt hour on those batteries, that is going to end up in cost of goods. So in general, these numbers that they're going to make on the IRA are all going to be in cost of goods. That's how I'm going to be thinking about it. So I'm picking up 200 million right there. There's 1%. Okay. Next, we go to battery prices. Well, there's all kinds of news out there. You don't have to look hard to look for the news that right now batteries are in oversupply, tremendous oversupply. CATL is dropping prices on batteries. We expect battery prices to drop, and they will drop, and they're dropping now. And yes, Tesla has long-term contracts with these folks. We'll talk about that in a minute with regard to the third category. But I believe that CATL has made some adjustments with Tesla during this period because they're a long-term, they want a long-term relationship, and they're going to make those relationships. So I'm going to say that where the battery prices will be even affecting more in the third quarter and the fourth quarter and maybe into next year, that while that's all going to be true, we also have Tesla making more and more of their own batteries, and that's going to impact their battery costs as well. As they get better and better at it, those costs are going down, and as they make more and more of those, assumedly they're going to be costing them less than it would from Panasonic or CATL and their other suppliers. So all of that, I'm going to add all that up, and I'm going to take another 200 million for all of that battery savings. Now, that's another 1%. Okay, now we go to the commodity prices. Commodity prices have dropped dramatically. Copper, steel, go right down the line, all the commodities that would be affecting Tesla's pricing. This is a big piece of metal, okay? And there's a lot of metal going into it. And so with the commodity prices dropping like they have, I think that they're already picking up some of that. Everybody will agree, all right? It's not Randy all by himself out on a limb. Everybody says the commodity price drop is going to affect Tesla at some point, and it will be important. But it's a question of when. And I'm saying that as a plastics manufacturer, I was buying high-density polyethylene, low-density polyethylene by the rail card load. And I was buying it months and months, sometimes 6-8 months in advance in order to get the best price. But what happens when commodity prices fall off just fall off the cliff like this, is that those guys, they're all of a sudden sitting on tons of material, and they don't want to lose you as a customer in that situation. And so they commonly make adjustments. I've been there, I've done it. I'm on the phone, it's like, hey man, commodity prices just went down. I know you, and you try to make a new deal. And I'm guaranteeing you that Tesla is in the position of power in these situations. They've proven that they're going to take product. They've probably never canceled a contract. They can pick up the phone in these situations. And I'm positive they're renegotiating some of these contracts. Some of them they might be buying on the spot market and already have gotten the advantage as well. But I would say the vast majority of what they're buying is probably on contract. Anyway, I'm going to say that altogether, so far on commodities, I'm going to pick up another 1%. And that's probably going to be maybe another % in the third quarter and or fourth quarter, assuming commodity prices stay low and depending on what kind of new deals they were able to make long term. So I'm going to pick up 1% there, another 200 million. Well, there's my 600 million. Is that crazy? Does that seem extreme to you in terms of those three categories? Well, I'm going to throw in a bonus so that I have a little more wiggle room. And that is that Tesla has had their ramp at Austin and Berlin has been continuing, and this is creating savings as they fine-tune those lines. And Tom Su has been over at Fremont for a good long time now. I'm guessing that he's created some savings at Fremont. And those things will, maybe that's another 100 million. Maybe it's only 50 million. But, somewhere there's a number that effect is having on the overall cost of goods of these products. So I'm just going to say there's a buffer. There's a buffer for me, maybe another 50 to 100 million. So so then if that wasn't enough, I'm going to throw in one last bonus. Okay. And the last bonus I'm going to throw in is a mix of vehicles sold between the vehicle models is not what everybody else is expecting. It's not going to be the same as it has been in the past. Because why? Well, because the cost of vehicles, the price has dropped. Tesla has dropped prices. And then you've got this money from the IRA that people get in the United States. And both of those things all around the world, in Europe as well, because in Europe, you've eliminated that cost of transportation between China and Europe. So all of those things together, that is going to allow people to up their trim. So I'm gonna make the claim that the trim is going to be and we're not going to know. None of this stuff is going to be available to us. We're not going to be able to check this. It's all just going to be in the final number. So I'm saying the trim has improved overall, and that's going to increase the margins. And I'm going to pick up another 50 to 100 million there. So maybe we're at 600 million total, 3% total, and it might be some different mix of what I'm talking about. But again, not anybody out there, don't let them tell you that they've got these numbers. They don't, okay? So we're all guessing. We're all pulling this out of the air. That's my guess, is that those what I just give you 5 factors, those 5 factors are going to affect cost of goods sold compared to sell, and that's going to increase the margins. So I'm sorry I didn't put this on a spreadsheet. It seems to me that it was pretty straightforward, that it didn't require a spreadsheet. Believe me, the market's going to be happy with anything 18% and above. They might even be okay with 17%. We won't see the market go terrible down if it's only 17%. Now, if it's 16.5, yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of a reaction to that. They're going to be very happy with an 81-cent profit. They'll probably even be happy with an 80 or 79. But if it's much below that, I think the market will also have a little problem. Now, if they hit my numbers, are pretty much anything between 81 and 96, yeah, I think we'll maybe even have an up day on Thursday. Who knows? By the way, we were doing pretty well this morning in terms of my number. I thought maybe I'd take one more last gander here just to see if I'm still on it. Let's see where we are here. We opened around 290, and then we went up a little over 290, and then a little below 290. But right now we're sitting at 287.10. We still have a chance to close at 290. So I'm hoping we get there. So anyway, hang around, hit the notify button. We got to subscribe to do that. Subscribe and notify. And that way you'll be sure to hear either Brian or Herbert later today. Whoever's not later today will be tomorrow. And then we've also got Jeff Lutz tomorrow, and then Larry Goldberg on Wednesday. And then we'll have more. We'll have guests on Thursday and Friday. We'll be talking about the earnings report all this week, and you don't want to miss any of those shows. So, and then of course, Patreon, and buy the books. Hey, had a great day. Book sales yesterday, sold a couple of Making Money Out of Thin Air. If you are an owner, if you are a business owner, or if you just like to know more about how to read profit and loss statements, that's one of my specializations in life. I can look at a profit and loss statement, and in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I can show you things that you can do to change your life. And that book is all about how you read the profit and loss statement. And you could use this for businesses that you are following, that you're investing in. Learn more about how to read those P&Ls and how those P&Ls can be used, just like a doctor, taking all the vital signs. And now he says, okay, eat this way, or run this, go out and run more, or take these pills or whatever. It's the same thing with your P&L. It is just like a doctor's report that tells you many things about how you can run your business differently. That's why I call it making out of thin air. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend any money to get there. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to even sell more product to get there. But the P&L can show you magical things that's like making money out of thin air. All right. I think I've done it for today. Looking forward to talking to you again later this afternoon. It's been great talking to you this time.